We are less than 3 weeks away from Selection Sunday. The College Football Playoff Committee faced with some really tough questions heading into their Week 3 of their rankings releases. Welcome the Rankings Reaction presented by Allstate. Alongside former NFL QB Matt Sims, SportsCenter's very own Skubie Mageza in the house. I am Sam Ravech. Guys, among those questions that the College Football Playoff Committee had to answer was just how far would Alabama and Texas fall following their losses this past weekend? Yeah. We're going to have some very angry fans as we will take a look at the updated rankings here.
We have some in the group chat right now.
Yeah, I'm sure we do. YouTube chat, follow along with us as we want to answer and get to some of your comments and concerns. Alabama, with their home loss to Oklahoma, dropped 6 spots all the way behind Notre Dame. They landed the 10th spot. Lots to discuss there. You'll also notice you will not see Texas in the top 12. We'll get to them in a second. Georgia jumps into the top 4 with a win over the Longhorns. We know the drill by now. BYU and Utah would both be bumped in favor of the 2 remaining highest-ranked conference champions, which, as it stands today, you see the Tulane Green Wave in as the group of 5 projected champion. Miami still sitting there. We'll call it a placeholder at number 11 right now because they have a long way to go to reach an ACC title game, if there even is a road there. Guys, I mentioned it on our college football show this past weekend. Nobody batted an eye when we were talking about a 1-loss Alabama team.
That's right.
But when you throw in that second loss, all of a sudden people look under the hood, and what they'll find is a loss to Florida State, which seemingly weighs really into this thing for the committee when they put Alabama dropping them 6 spots. Do you agree with where the committee has Alabama behind Notre Dame, despite the fact that they both have 2 losses?
I don't agree with it. I think with Alabama and what they have done this year, their resume, beating Georgia, beating Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, all ranked football teams, all in a row, I think that speaks for itself, by itself.
It should.
The way that the quarterback has played this year, the way that the defense has improved week by week. The truth is, though, as I watch this football team, Notre Dame, I do think that they are the more balanced football team out of the 2. They're the team that I feel like I would trust a little bit more to make a run in the playoffs because of their offensive line, because of the balanced offense with their great running backs.
Yep.
The receiving room has good depth, a good mixture. The secondary and the defense, like I've told you the past few weeks, has really come on. So that's where I feel like maybe they're the safer bet in the long run, but I do believe that Alabama is more deserving to be ahead of them at the moment.
Yeah, shout out to the YouTube chat. I'm looking in there right now, and Michael just said Alabama should leave the SEC and schedule teams like the Big Ten and Notre Dame because then you'll be safe, right? You could not do any wrong because when you look at the strength of record right now, Notre Dame is not even ranked in the top 10 for the country. And Alabama, of course, is right there in the top 10. To double check over here exactly where they are in those rankings, they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th in the country. So I think Alabama definitely got done wrong. And for the committee, my assumption is that they didn't want to bump Notre Dame back. Notre Dame didn't move any spots. Yeah. So the idea of moving Notre Dame back after they won, for a team that just lost didn't make sense. At the end of the day, it's going to sort itself out because if Alabama beats Auburn, then they're in to the SEC championship game, and you're not going to leave the team that played in the SEC championship and probably is going to win it, that's my assumption, behind Notre Dame.
Right. The best part about this is we have the authority on all things college football playoff. Joining us right now from the comfortability of her own home, Heather Dinich joins us on Rankings Reaction HD. This is the second time, by the way, you get to see Maddie Sims today, so sorry about that. But let me get your thoughts on the whole the Alabama, Oklahoma, Notre Dame of it all. HD, you had kind of talked a little bit about how those were kind of a package deal, or at least you thought Alabama and Oklahoma would be. It appears as if they split them up amongst the committee there and having Notre Dame sandwiched right in between. Your thoughts on how it broke out here in Week 3 of the releases?
I'm really surprised. This is the biggest surprise to me of the night because historically speaking, strength of schedule and wins against top 25 teams matters tremendously in that room. And Alabama not only has 4 CFP top 25 wins, but they beat the committee's number 4 team now in Georgia. I want to say they have 4 top 22 wins. Meanwhile, Notre Dame has 1. Pitt dropped out of the ranking. But then for Alabama, Mizzou popped into the ranking. So everything else that they did worked in Alabama's favor. But what this says to me, guys, is two things. One, Notre Dame is the closest thing to a lock right now because if they are passing the eye test, I'm not sure what else is going to change because resume-wise, nothing's going to get any better for them in the last 2 games. But here's one other thing to watch about this that I don't think people are talking about immediately. And with Alabama at number 10, if BYU somehow wins the Big 12, given where Texas Tech is right now at number 5, I would be shocked if Texas Tech didn't join BYU as a second Big 12 team. But at the expense of whom?
Right.
That number 10 spot is kind of tricky right now. It could be in jeopardy. Alabama could be left out of the playoff if that were the case. It's hard to imagine that as we sit here today, but I'm curious, what do you think? Don't you think 2 Big 12 teams would get in if that was the case?
That would be, I feel like, the only
scenario. You're going to drop your number 5 team out?
Yes, I agree. I think that would be the only case really where a Big 12 could represent and have two teams in it. My other question, I think, just like overall for just how this plays out, how does a team beat, in my opinion, one of the best teams in the country in Georgia and still, for whatever reason, fall as far as they did, right? I mean, that's where, is that a responsible drop of 6 total places after that? And, what does that mean for the other teams now that are ranked ahead of them that have some pretty big-time matchups coming up, including Oregon this weekend against USC?
Well, the reality is, with college football, so much can happen with 3 Saturdays left, guys. We could be having an entirely different conversation. And it's not just USC, it's Michigan, too. And Michigan is below Texas. I would say Texas is out. Michigan still has a chance because they still are mathematically eligible somehow to get into the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
So to your point, if USC beats Oregon, or if Oregon beats USC and loses to Washington, we're talking about Michigan if they run the table and beat Ohio State.
That's wild.
And not only that, Heather, this was another scenario that kind of had my brain scrambling as I was trying to figure out some chaos. If USC is to beat Oregon and let's say just win out, are they a lock? Because from just looking at it, it feels like they still need some help to get in, even if they win out.
They got a Notre Dame problem, right, Heather?
And they also... That's exactly right. That's what I was going to say. Even if they do that, is there room for them in that bracket with the head-to-head loss to Notre Dame?
Oh, my God.
Are they in the 11-12 spot where they get bumped out? Or does everyone move up because Oregon falls out and they're safe at that 10 spot? Alabama's going to lose in the Iron Bowl anyway. Look, everything's just, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess.
So Notre Dame fans are loving this. But for us on the outside, I have no dog in this fight. Sometimes it feels like we're Notre Dame haters, but I do rock with Notre Dame. I love the way that they run the ball and play the game of football. But does it feel like they receive a little bit of favor? The team that's not in a conference that always seems to have a terrible loss but somehow win out and get that favor?
2 tough losses.
Yeah.
Somehow. But remember, those 2 losses are by a combined, what was it? 4
points
to Miami. Right, 4 points to Miami and Texas A&M. So that is certainly considered in the committee meeting room. But also, you have to give credit to Marcus Freeman and Jeremiah Love and the defense for playing so much better. And that's what great teams do, right? There's a noticeable difference. And we can do the same thing with Georgia. How much better have those teams the second week of the season? And I think they're drastically different.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Alabama's, I just keep going back to this, 4 CFP top 25 wins and a win against the committee's number 4 team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shocking. And to your point, too, I do think the fact that USC keeps winning That helps Notre Dame more than it helps USC maybe at this point in the season. You mentioned those wins for Alabama against the current number 4 team, number 14 team, number 22, and number 20 team of these current college football playoff rankings. Alabama was not the only SEC team that suffered a loss, HD. On Saturday night, Texas Longhorns lost to Georgia for the third time in less than a year. And as a result, the 3-loss Horns dropped 7 spots all the way down to number 17 in the rankings. Coincidentally, that's also where they land in the AP poll. Still a ways to go, but considering who is ahead of the Texas Longhorns right now, HD, are the Longhorns' playoff spots all but non-existent right now?
Texas toast, my friend.
Texas
I
toast.
take back everything I said. I take back everything I said about a win against the Aggies, giving them some hope, because it does not appear that even if they run the table, they can be considered by the selection committee. I think that was a very strong statement tonight by the selection committee about what they think about Texas. It just doesn't seem realistic.
And we always talk about good wins, good losses, and I think we were all keeping an eye as to how will Texas compete against Georgia. And they just did not look like the football team that we had seen prior to the bye. Now, granted, this is a Texas team that had to win in overtime against Kentucky, had to win in overtime against Mississippi State. It's not necessarily great when you evaluate them from that perspective. So I see why they dropped them. But a win against Texas A&M, it's not going to be good enough for you Texas fans for them to make it completely into the college football playoff as a 3-loss team because of how they lost. How you lose is important at this point, right, Heather?
It absolutely is important. And I think when you see the flip side of it, for example, rewarding Miami for how they played against NC State, for how they won that game, but we've seen it all throughout the season that how you perform in these games matters. Can you dominate a lesser opponent? Can you leave no doubt that you're the better team? The selection committee does not incentivize margin of victory. Let me make that very clear. If you're Indiana football and you're winning by 60 points, at some point the committee turns it off. They're like, okay, so I think it's technically somewhere around like 27 points. After that, it doesn't really matter. But if you lose and you're on the flip side of that, that's an indication of the gap that exists between where you are as a team and the elite team that's a playoff contender that you're playing.
Right, and that gap seemingly is getting larger and larger with the way that Texas is playing. You talked a little bit, Maddie, about the eye test when discussing teams like Alabama and Notre Dame. Conversely, Texas has failed the eye test this year, especially on the road. This is a pretty bad road team. The loss to Florida is a problem, and it's kind of weighing down, I think, this Texas resume on the whole, right?
And exactly what Heather said earlier, too. It's the way that they lost to Florida. It's the fact that they got physically just pushed around exactly the way that Georgia defeated them, too. So that's where I feel like when you're starting to get into this playoff picture, right, can you keep up, right, with the head of the pack? And I just feel like physically they're just not there yet as a football team. The defense is solid defense, right? They play good against the run. They limit scoring at times, right? Now, the pass, hey, that's an issue for them. But they're an average SEC offense. 10th total in the league, 7th in passing, 12th in rushing, 11th in scoring. That, to me, just doesn't speak, college football playoff caliber football team whatsoever. And, my one question, I think, for you guys and for Heather, too, is just, for this weekend, let's just say USC does defeat Oregon. Mm-hmm. Is the Miami ranking more so the committee allowing the potential of a 2 ACC opportunity with the champion and then now having Miami move into that spot, right, as one of those extras? So
you're saying
so Big Ten and the ACC would both get 2 teams, right, according to, I'm just saying, if USC does take down Oregon. Because I don't know. I know what Heather said, though, but I'm going to go to the board here. The Michigan thing.
I'm not either, HD, but HD, thoughts about that? Yeah. Skubie gets us down the board.
I'm going to go to the Big Ten while Heather answers that question, all right?
Okay, so I'm curious to see what the computer says about that. But while he's messing around with that, Miami has a 7% chance to reach the ACC championship game.
Right, so that's not.
They have a better chance. They have a better chance to get in as an at-large team, but they still need help above them. I have a hard time envisioning 2 ACC teams, the champion and Miami, just because of a mathematics number here, just because of how much room there is. I don't know if there's room for them to get in, especially if you have that 2-loss Big 12 scenario that I was talking about.
Right. Good point. And that's where I feel like it's a big weekend too, or the next 2 weeks in general for Oklahoma, because I know everyone's reeling about Oklahoma in a big time win against Alabama, but let's not forget either, this is a seriously good Missouri defense that they're going up against. And then LSU is another really good defense, and they're definitely going to be enjoying the play the spoiler, play the villain role in that. So I don't think Oklahoma is as solidified to be in the playoffs as we think we are, despite the fact that they had
okay, so let's look at those two scenarios then, Matt. I'm over here at the board, and for everybody watching, this gives us the scenarios on if teams are to win out, the likelihood of them making the playoff and wins the title. Okay, so USC right now has a 17% chance to make the college football playoff. Now, if they win out, that jumps to 69%. And then for Oregon, since they would have that loss against USC, their chance to make the college football playoff dips to 61%. And we just saw what happened to Alabama, how far they got dropped. So if Oregon messes around and loses this game against USC, they are in trouble and could mess around and be left out of the college football playoff altogether. Heather, your thoughts on that, with Oregon chances completely going down and USC having a higher chance than them?
Real quick, too, HD. Obviously, those are independent of other results that may occur throughout conference championship week, but still your thoughts on that?
Right. Well, I think that there are some questions about Oregon's schedule to begin with in that room. It just doesn't feel like when I look at Notre Dame in the ranking, it feels like the committee has all the confidence and faith in the world in them. And it feels like Notre Dame is going to be in there. I don't feel that way about the committee's vibes about Oregon. It feels like they're on just thin ice, and one slip up and they could be in trouble.
Real quick, HD, before we get you out of here, I want to talk about the Georgia of it all, as you mentioned, too, jumping into the top 4 spots to receive one of the byes. The head-to-head against Alabama no longer matters because of the loss there to the Tide this weekend. But is there a case to be made for Texas Tech out of the Big 12 to at least be in consideration for one of those byes? It just seems like those are going to go to the SEC 2 that play in the conference championship and the Big 10 2 that play in the conference championship. Your thoughts on that?
I think they're within arm's reach, and my guess is that with Indiana and Ohio State having to play each other, most likely, not definitively, in the Big Ten championship game, what if that's really lopsided? Is there a chance that the loser of that game drops to 5? It feels like they would stay in the top 4, but we don't know. And guys, Ohio State has not been tested.
Yes.
Tell me when Ohio State has been tested once this season, right?
You. Yep.
I don't know what they are going to look like when the game is on the line in the fourth quarter and Julian Sayin has to do what Mendoza did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they win. Maybe they win by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't.
And they are the highest ranked team that I can remember in this college football playoff ranking that we absolutely know nothing about. You're down 4 in the fourth quarter and you got to drive down the field and score. What are they going to be able to do? I think there's a lot of different scenarios. And HD, before we get you out of here, there was one question that I had is, if Alabama wins the SEC championship, will they end up being the highest ranked SEC team that would receive a bye? Because let's say they beat Texas A&M in the SEC championship, and now all of a sudden you got a 1-loss Texas A&M team that lost in the SEC championship, and you got an Alabama team that won the SEC championship with 2 losses. Do they end up being the highest ranked SEC team?
Oh my gosh.
You're right.
That's a fantastic question, because they would have the head-to-head over the Aggies, but they have an extra loss. But they would have the win against Georgia and the SEC championship, so they very well could be. Yeah.
It makes sense, right?
You go from talking about Alabama to maybe being bumped out by the Big 12 to all of a sudden the conference champion and a first-round bye. So that's very indicative of just how many different ways this can go.
There's so many interesting storylines to follow down the stretch of the season, and no doubt Heather Dinich will be following them along with us. HD, always appreciate you joining us every Tuesday on Rankings Reaction.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
All right, thanks for watching Rankings Reaction, presented by Allstate. Take a look at some of the comments coming in from the socials, fellas. Do they agree or disagree with some of the rankings here? No team with a 24-point blowout loss at home should be ranked in the top 12. Utah, #CFP.
I'm with you.
We got first CFP rankings take. Alabama falling below Notre Dame is heinous.
I believe you, Matt. I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's actually me. I wrote that.
I thought that was you. I love how they make the CFP ranking show. It's like watching the end of a reality TV show episode. Yeah, well, the funny thing is tonight it's like
that was a hilarious comment.
I like that.
It's at MSG tonight, so you got sandwiched between two basketball games. I think the College Football Playoff Committee again got it right. Debate there, Joe. Yep, certainly debate. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Allstate Playoff Predictor here, guys. And we'll look at the chance to reach the playoff at 10-2, according to the Allstate Playoff Predictor here. Now, Alabama, Oklahoma in good standing right now. Again, USC lingering, lying in the weeds there. We'll see what happens with their game against Oregon. I'm interested, too. The Big 12 conundrum is fascinating to me. The committee is really high on Utah and BYU as well. The field goal that separated that game between those two, the only loss for BYU on the road at Texas Tech. I don't know. It's really fascinating to see. I want to get to Miami because we didn't get a chance to talk about it with Heather Dinich. And she mentioned, too, and wrote a little blurb this past week about how if Miami is excluded from the college football playoff, it doesn't necessarily expose a flaw in the playoff system. It just reinforces Miami's inability to play at a consistent level throughout the course of the season. What do you guys think needs to happen in front of Miami for them to receive consideration as an at-large?
I mean, they need everything to go their way.
Just chaos.
Yeah, they really do. They need Alabama to fall. They need Ole Miss.
Notre Dame has to lose again.
I mean, I don't think the Notre Dame thing's going to happen, but, I mean, it definitely would help them, right? There's no doubt about that.
Yep. Oklahoma lose.
Oklahoma, they need Oklahoma to lose. They might need Oklahoma to lose both their last games, right, to really help them and to solidify their spot. So I think it's just complete chaos across the board, right, for them to really get locked into that position. I do feel like the committee is setting them up, though, to make that final piece move, right, with their placement, right?
And I feel bad for their fan base because last week
don't feel bad for them. Win the damn game. Win the damn game. No, it's that simple.
You're right.
You were a better football team than SMU. You were a better football team than Louisville. We've seen Louisville and how dysfunctional they are in critical moments here at the end of the year.
Sure did.
So it's like, man, you shot yourselves in the foot. You were the better team, and you just weren't locked in enough. But it is good to see them back on, and playing good football again. And Jacoby Thomas, man, has been awesome in the secondary for them.
And I think the reason why I feel bad is because it's all smoke and mirrors right now. In our first rank, when you saw Miami there at number 12 last week, you thought, we have an opportunity to jump in, but that's necessarily not the case. The computers will tell you that the chances are low. We know the chances are low for Miami just because with the way that the ACC is set up and who they lost against. When you take a look at their strength of schedule, 43rd in the country. That is not great. Strength of record, I will give you a little bit of credit there, but they're going to need a lot more help, as you just brought up, Matt, to be able to get in. And quite frankly, another point that I was thinking of, what if Miami and Texas win out? Which one are you taking? Are they going to take? Which one gets ranked high?
I don't think it's a debate. I'm taking Miami. I don't have any questions.
One team beat Florida, the other one lost to Florida this year.
Okay. That's a good point. That's a good point. And also, too, for
Texas
Miami,
beat Oklahoma, though. They have that Oklahoma win.
Their signature win, Notre Dame, South Florida, of course, that's a big win for them, too, as well. But outside of that, you're kind of leaning on, when they played Florida State, they were ranked. Outside of that's really... That's the most of it. That's where the ACC and the Big Ten are interesting because a lot of the top teams haven't played each other. It's not just a great strength of schedule across the board. Even as I go through my notes and look at Oregon, it's like key wins, Penn State. And I'm saying that's a key win just because of how talented their defense is, right? And then it's Iowa and Minnesota, right, as far as their key wins this football season. So that's where it gets a little, I think, cloudy when we talk about these two programs and also, too, just these two divisions in college football right now where there's a lot more question marks than there is definitive answers, and that's why even the Alabama move being so far down is a weird one considering how well they played against some of the better teams in the country, according to the committee.
And speaking of Alabama, right?
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about this team too much. Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner for everyone that's in the chat right now, because we straight from Jones says we're not talking about Oklahoma, and we're some haters of that team. And I do want to be able to give the flowers to them because, one, I believe Oklahoma has one of the best defenses in the country.
Agreed.
They can get after the quarterback. And they got a pretty decent running game, right? And all you want is your quarterback to not turn the ball over. But I will say offensively, that's where the problems lie for Oklahoma as a team that can necessarily compete for a championship. I mean, you were outgained by Alabama 2-1, and you still only won that game by a couple of points.
Yeah.
So when you look at Oklahoma, you made clutch plays at the right time. A pick six, those are random. Those are plays that you don't see often, but Brett Venables made sure to tell us we forced those turnovers.
No doubt.
Those weren't turnovers.
He made a point of that. Yeah.
He made a point to let us know that they forced them. So I think for Oklahoma, I give you all the flowers on the defensive end, but I do need to see more from them offensively if they're going to compete for a championship.
And I think Greg McElroy said it perfectly on the television aspect of our show, right, is that the committee, I think, is looking out for them because their star quarterback was out, right, during those losses,
yeah,
right?
It's a great point.
Or just coming back and kind of getting into the rhythm of playing, especially against Texas, right?
Yeah.
So that to me, I think, is kind of like the saving grace for Oklahoma at the moment. But the offense, man, there's a lot to be, this is not a good offensive unit by any means, right? They struggle to be consistent in the passing game. The running game is very touch and go, but it is absolutely a national championship contending defense. There's no doubt about it. With the way that Taylor Wynn played this past weekend, Kip Lewis, and the scheme that Venables can run, it is a very tough matchup for anyone going forward if they were to make it.
I think they're going to be in some really, really tight games these next two down the stretch of the season. As great of a win that was on Nick Saban Field. We'll see what happens to Oklahoma sitting there with 2 losses right now. I think just to wrap it up on Miami really quick, I don't know that like wins against Virginia Tech and Pitt, who no longer is ranked, by the way, will really stir the drink enough for them to be an at-large. We'll find out. Again, chaos needs to happen in front of them. We move it along. Fans, check out ESPN.com/Allstate Playoff Predictor to check out your team's chances at making the college football playoff and use the tool and pros use as well. A reminder, you're watching Rankings Reaction presented by Allstate. Take a look at some of the notable dates coming up here. We got final rankings released here. Selection Sunday, that'll be December 7th. Of course, we will have a show on Rankings Reaction following those final rankings being released. We will also have shows following each of the first round, quarterfinals, semifinals, and yes, the national championship. That'll be 7:30 Eastern time on ESPN in Miami Gardens, Florida. Ooh, who's going to be playing in the national title? I think that is the question that we all want to answer. Now, we're doing a little something interesting here. The games this weekend aren't great. So we're going to have some fun here with the college football playoff bracket. We got the teams up there, but we are putting their quarterbacks in as representatives of the teams. Just kind of a different outlook on the college football playoff bracket.
I had nothing to do with this, by the way.
This was your idea.
This was not my idea.
This is the quarterback's idea.
But I did agree with the idea.
Okay, very good.
This would be fun. But let's also remind everybody at home in the chat, this is just an exercise, all right? We're having a little fun.
Hypotheticals here.
It's hypothetical.
The bracket could look a lot different, so will the quarterbacks.
All right, what do we want to do? 5-12 or 10-7?
Start at 5-12. Jake Retzloff coming over from BYU. Yep, Baron Morton there.
Yeah.
As well as Jake Retzloff has played, I think Baron Morton, especially what he's done for this football team and how he has steadied the ship, just Virgil, Cam Dickey, this offense, I think he is a phenomenal leader. We've seen his toughness, too, fighting through injury right now, going with Baron Morton.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, we may be doing this exercise as quarterbacks, but we know what's the most important position on the football field. It is the quarterback position.
Oh, no, yeah. Sorry.
That too. But Baron Morton, I mean, they're undefeated with him under center.
Yeah.
The one game that they've lost this season is when Will Hammer was playing the quarterback position against Arizona State. They ended up actually pulling off quite an impressive comeback, but Arizona State ended up coming back at the end of it. Baron Morton is their guy, the experienced quarterback, and I believe in his ability to beat Tulane, which right now they're the only group of 5 team that's ranked in the top 25 altogether. So
this is an interesting one. Let's do the 9-8 one right now.
Okay.
Right, C.J. Carr, John Mateer. Now, let's take away the skill group. Don't even talk about the skill, because we know that's going to C.J. Carr, right? Straight up just quarterback play. Who do you trust more, Skubie?
Do I consider the defense that he's going against?
Well, you've said the word trust. That's a big differentiator there.
Well, yeah, that's right. I think that's why I said it that way too.
His decision-making, John Mateer's decision-making is very questionable. And I've seen it in moments where he's always trying to make a play. There's nothing wrong with trying to make a play.
It's from the hip.
Yeah.
You know,
all
I
the
like
time.
that action. It's fun.
Straight shooter, a playmaker, a risk taker. But I can't have that in a national champ, in the college football playoff against a defense like Notre Dame. I go CJ Carr here.
Really? All right, so you're taking youth. You agree with this, Coach? Taking youth?
I picked Oklahoma to win the game last weekend, so I'm just going to ride out with John Mateer.
Okay, I'll be the deciding factor in this one. Give me CJ Carr.
Okay, all right.
CJ Carr.
You like youth too?
Sorry, Sam.
Apologize. No, hey.
I mean, he throws the ball better. He makes better decisions. He may not be as athletic as Mateer, but
I just feel like I know what I'm getting every single game with him right now. Whereas with Mateer, it is a little wild sometimes.
Exactly.
By the seat of his pants. Yeah. So
ceiling is high, floor is low. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Perfectly well said. Trinidad Chambliss. Carson.
This is an interesting one.
This is an interesting one.
Man, come on, man. Are we really even talking about this? Carson picks.
I was going to say.
Come on, man. Trinidad Chambliss. Dizay.
Better NFL prospect. Better college quarterback.
You think so?
I'm going with Trinidad Chambliss. What do you got?
Well, they're at home. I'll take Trinidad Chambliss.
What do you think?
Chambliss all day.
Real? Wow.
I
have clean sweep across the board.
Seen enough of Miami on the road this year.
Has Chambliss thrown 5 interceptions in a game this season yet?
But hey, you should try.
Has he thrown? It's fun. Has he thrown 2 game-losing interceptions and then tried to blame?
All right.
Tried to blame his wide receiver after the game. Carson Beck. I mean, all respect to him and what he's been able to do, but I've not been impressed.
All right, the Miami fans are now pissed again at us for that conversation, but that's okay. Moving
Carson
forward,
Beck pisses them off too.
This is a fun one too.
I do want to just get your thoughts too on, because we talked about the Oregon USC matchup.
Yeah.
There's no other place for us to talk about it. Stylistically, I want to talk about USC Oregon this weekend.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the matchup itself? They do kind of the same things, but they do it in different ways.
They do, but I would say for Oregon, don't forget about your great win against Iowa and how you won that football game. And how would you win that? Body shot, head body, head body.
280 yards rushing in that game.
I think that's the recipe. I think that's the recipe for them, right? Run the football, be aggressive, wear out their defensive front seven, let Dante Moore feed off of that running attack and go from there. I don't want to put everything on Dante Moore and have a shootout style of football game. I think that plays in the favor of USC.
Okay.
Yeah, and USC has seen that from Michigan in their game against them, right? And I think that was one of the games this season where I looked at USC and I said, okay, you can be you can be a real physical football team.
Yeah.
You've seen that style of play over and over again.
And Michigan's good defense.
Dante Moore has the ability to hit you for some big plays. So I'm curious if USC will be able to kind of combat that and come back with them. But it can end up being a shootout, and I just wonder if USC is going to be able to take care of the football in those games.
They've gotten better on the defensive side. Oregon runs the ball really good.
No,
so
absolutely.
That's been one of the concerns for USC
that's
against
true.
the run. So
that is absolutely
all right,
true.
Ty Simpson, Dante Moore. What do we
I mean, to me, it's like it's Ty Simpson all over. And as good as Dante Moore is, the future is absolutely bright.
We're talking about quarterbacks here.
Yeah, straight up quarterbacks. He's going to be on his way to winning or being that Heisman race, I think, in the future. Just not yet. Ty Simpson is that dude right now for the Alabama Crimson Tide. All right. Man, this is tough. But I'm going with Gunnar Stockton.
I'll take experience, too. I think he learned something from playing in last year's
and I just think that, he is the entire team in a lot of ways, right, as far as his toughness and leadership.
What did James Harden say one day? He said, I am the system. Well, Gunnar Stockton
Gunnar is
the
kind
system.
of the system.
Yeah, he's the system
he is.
at Georgia. And he's kind of just, the puppet master. He knows, all right, we got this play going in. You could tell he's a smart player. He has the athletic ability to run the ball and play make, extend the clock a little bit and find his guys down the field. There's a chemistry with him everybody else on his team. I love what I'm seeing from Gunnar Stockton and his development throughout the season. He's just gotten better.
Him and Bobo really just have found
they know each other. Right?
We got a lot. I'm being told by our producer Brian, we got a lot of Notre Dame fans in the comments right now.
Okay.
So pressure's on with this pick with
pressure
CJ
is on, no doubt.
Here.
Now, see what the group
talented young quarterbacks. Here.
Both talented young quarterbacks. To me, I feel like I've seen CJ Carr do a little bit more against tougher competition, and that's a fact. I'm not taking anything away from Julian Sayin, but Julian Sayin has been on, no fault to his own, on the best team every single weekend and in complete control of the football game.
And
let's
not forget about the opponent that he's going against. He hasn't faced necessarily
he hasn't really
defenses.
been pressed yet. Whereas C.J. Carter, I feel like he has a little bit more of that pressure in those moments. So I don't know if that's really the saving grace of it, but I think, leaning towards C.J. Carr again.
Okay, you're high
I'm
on
with
C.J.
you.
Carr.
I am right now.
We're talking quarterback here. For everybody that's in the group chat, I just took a look. Someone said, what is this? This is the quarterback. This is a quarterback bracket, all right? Quarterback versus quarterback.
I thought this was fun, and then as we do it, it's like it's getting way more difficult because I love all of these quarterbacks that we're talking about now. Actually, everyone in the playoffs. All right, Marcel Reed, Trinidad Chambliss. Two awesome stories, right? Young quarterback.
I saw
the D2
first half
transfer
was scary.
No doubt.
But what he did in the second half, by God.
Hey, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Baby,
yeah. And Marcel Reed finished it, and he's on his way to New York for the Heisman.
We also don't know if their head coach is going to be even coaching in the playoffs. So
that's also a great point, too. But, yeah, that is interesting.
Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza.
All right, I got my pick. I'm going to leave this to you, too. This is a great one. What do you got? You guys pick this one. I'm gonna pass out on this one. I'm going to take my vote away. Look at you. You're actually you're stumped.
I think your point, Scoob, similar to Marcel Reed and the tale of two halves there. What we saw Fernando Mendoza do in the Penn State game could be kind of the same there.
To see
both have had Heisman moments. There's no doubt about it.
To see Fernando Mendoza take that sack on the first play when they were trying to drive down the field, and then all of a sudden just
let's give it to Mendoza.
Torpedoes down the field.
Yeah,
I gotta trust him a little bit more now.
Let's give it to Mendoza. Let's do it.
All right.
Gunnar Stockton,
that's
C.J. Carr. This is where the C.J. Carr experiment ends. I'm going with Gunnar Stockton. All right. And now Marcel Reed, Fernando Mendoza. Man, this is an awesome matchup too. Because of the running ability, I was leaning towards Marcel Reed.
I'm with you.
But
sorry, Sam.
I got vetoed.
You got vetoed. All right, go.
We're going Marcel Reed.
Yeah.
How has Texas A&M still ended up in our national championship in every single show?
Why do we do this every time? I don't understand.
So all SEC championship.
I really don't know how that keeps happening. I'm not trying to be funny at all here. That's exactly how it works.
I tried to have Indiana in there, but
someone thinks we're hating on saying, and they say we pick against Ohio State every time.
I don't know that
we've had Ohio State
on saying. I don't know that we're hating on Ohio State. We just have we got to see it.
I feel like I literally said 2 weeks ago that Ohio State is the best football team on film that I've ever seen, and just the one thing is that they haven't really played anyone that can keep up with them, so it's hard to evaluate them on that.
Yeah. Relax, Eric. He's so mad he said he will never watch the show again.
I'm really sorry.
We'd love to have you back, Eric.
Eric, it's okay. We'll pick Ohio State next week, buddy.
Yeah, and we gave you a shout on the show, so you got to come back next week, right?
Eric!
That's the best news.
My guy.
We will be back here next Tuesday, for another rankings reaction. We'll also be on Saturday night. College football show kicks off at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you so much for watching Rankings Reaction, presented by Allstate. Wow, we only got a couple weeks of this thing left.
We're gonna do this with centers next time.
Oh, God.
Yeah, all right? That's where it's gonna really
do it with offensive coordinators.
There you. Oh, I like that.
That was good.
That's a good idea.